What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our NFL draft grades. This is for all the teams, all 32 teams. Some came out really well after the draft and did what they needed to do, took care of business, while others, kind of got up on the wrong side of bed and decided to not help the team at all. But we would like to shout out walterfootball.com. As you can see here, going through all the draft grades, we're going to be providing some information from them. We'll put them in the description below if you want to do some more reading on draft as well. But Ethan, I'll let you have it here with the first team in the Cowboys.
Well, I think they had a really good draft. Starting out with Tyler Smith from Tulsa, offensive lineman. They really need it just to revamp that offensive line. They got some help at linebacker. And Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver out of South Alabama. I think he could come in and be a playmaker for that Cowboys offense as like a slot guy. But overall, I mean, let's just go through these picks. Jake Ferguson, Matt Waletzko, not sure if I pronounced that right. Daron Bland, Damone Clark, John Ridgeway, and Devin Harper. I think that's a solid draft overall. And I think they definitely are getting better going into, free agency and they're starting to kick off the offseason.
The next team, we got the New York Giants, and I think they got a steal in both the first round here in Kayvon Thibodeau. I thought he was a top 3 pick guaranteed. Fell to the Giants. I think that was a pick that they just had to take. Evan Neal, I mean, he's a great talent. He was, potential number 1 pick 3 months ago, right before Hutchinson dominated Ohio State and then took over that game. But after that, I think that's kind of where you get some big question marks. I think you start with Wan'Dale Robinson. He's a wide receiver, but they have the highest paying wide receiver room in the league, and they draft a rookie. Maybe that's to cut a veteran. But who knows? But I think the day 3 choices, they had lots of ways to go, and I think they really went the defensive route there. Played it safe, improved that defense for sure. But none of these guys are, some big name, immediate impact guys besides Thibodeau and Neal.
And next we have our first A+ of the draft, the Philadelphia Eagles hitting the home run. I mean, to start it off, Jordan Davis at 13 is a great pick. He's gonna plug in, and he's gonna could be a Pro Bowl or just a start, just with that potential that we saw at Georgia. Cameron Jurgens as well. They got more depth on the offensive line. Nakobe Dean is the big pick, though. He was a first-round pick before he got hurt, and they got him in the 3rd round. So automatically, this is an A+ draft grade, and they're looking dangerous in the NFC East this year.
Here we got the Washington Commanders. The best pick they had was Dotson out of Penn State. That's a much-needed give Carson Wentz, your new quarterback, a weapon. But I don't think they view him as the long-term solution because they did draft Sam Howell. This quarterback class wasn't really deep this year, but they did take a chance on a guy that, could turn out to be something. We got him in the 5th round, so it's nothing, a reach or trading up to get this guy. I just think after that, there's kind of some question marks. They drafted Chris Paul, who's playing in the playoffs this year. Yep. I don't know how they took him, but apparently he's playing football now.
He's an offensive lineman too.
Brian Robinson Jr., I think he could be something special. And there's been some early reports where he is going to be starting to split carries with Antonio Gibson. And that's what Ron Rivera likes to do back when he had D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, kind of those two. I think that's what he's trying to do this year. So don't draft Antonio Gibson, essentially. But other than that, I don't really see, how they're going to compete in that NFC East. But then again, it is the NFC East. So someone 9-8 will win the division this year, just like it always happens. They did get 2 teams in the playoffs last year, which was very surprising. But of course, both lost in the 1st round. But we're going to move on here to the next division in the NFC North.
And the Chicago Bears, who did not have a 1st-round pick. Their first pick was Kyler Gordon, a cornerback. So that could help, but C- draft grade. They didn't really sure up anything that I wanted them to get. Jaquan Brisker, safety out of Penn State. He could be pretty solid and help that defense out. But, other than that, not a lot of home runs in this draft for the Chicago Bears. And it's going to be tough for them to be in this NFC North where the Vikings are getting better. The Packers have Aaron Rodgers, and the Lions are even getting better. So without Justin Fields, I think he's in for a big year. But if he's not, then I could see them being in the fourth place in this division this year.
And here, I know I got this shirt on right now, but I'm going to be rooting for the Lions this year just because, they got my boy Hutchinson out of Michigan. And I'm really liking where this franchise is going. They've been poverty for the last, 5-6 years. It's been really bad. But all my Lions friends and fans out there, I'm sure they're happy about this year's draft. Everybody loves to trade up for Jameson Williams. He wants to be a Lion, bite some kneecaps off in the process. Him and St. Brown are going to be a good 1-2 combo, I think, for a long time. Kirby Joseph is an intriguing pick. He could turn out to be a star. Josh Pascal, people were kind of sleeping on him because he's slow off the line. But if you look at what he's done, his collegiate stats, really good. And I think the best pick, honestly, the no-brainer pick, obviously, with Hutchinson. But the best pick for value, I think, is Malcolm Rodriguez. He was a star at Oklahoma State. I think he missed maybe one game in his career there. He's been a captain. And that leads me to my next point. All these guys on this list have been a captain at least once for 1 year in college, which is, an interesting stat to look at. And, they want leaders in that room in Detroit. They got a ton here. They're just rookies, but they have that, mature mindset. And I think that only goes, great things to say for the Lions. That's why it's an A draft here. I can't give them an A plus because, it is the Lions. They'll find some way to do something. But I will move in to talking about my Packers as well. In the fan perspective, it was frustrating in the first round to not see them take a receiver because, we just got rid of Devontae, botched a trade for Darren Waller, and now we're here. But they responded by trading up to get Christian Watson. They know how to take receivers in the second round, that's for sure. Drafting Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and now Christian Watson. Oh, and even Devontae to be the latest project in the second round and help Rodgers out. Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt, two Georgia guys that absolutely dominated Michigan. So I got to watch these guys firsthand, and there's some studs. I think they're going to make an immediate impact to that defense. The run game was kind of an issue last year. They assessed that early in the rounds. And I think the best value pick here is Zach Tom in the fourth round, the guard for Wake Forest. He's going to be an immediate plug and play. Packers are losing some guys on the line this year, and I think it's going to be a competition between all the linemen to see who's going to fill in some spots.
And next, we have the Minnesota Vikings at a C+ grade. Lewis Sign out of Georgia, safety. They do need defense, that backside help. As you see, they went safety and cornerback in their first 2 rounds, and then they went and got a cornerback in the fourth. But, the Vikings are getting a lot better. I like their draft for the most part with their top 4 picks, but they are improving and getting younger. So it's a big step in the right direction for the Vikings, especially with their, Dalvin Cook changing his number. That means he's going to be a stud this year. Kirk Cousins, and their offense is already loaded. So really just to get some depth and help on that backside of the defense was huge.
And moving to the NFC South, we got the Atlanta Falcons. They assessed getting a receiver, being the first team to take a receiver at 8, taking Drake London. I think it's a good pick, a little higher than I thought it would be. I didn't think he would be the first receiver off the board, but that was just my prediction. And, taking a quarterback as well, Desmond Ridder, it was a safe bet as they were the first to really start the run on quarterbacks, you could say, because that's when it really took off once he got taken. Mm-hmm. And it's a safe play in a year, once I already said the quarterback class isn't the best, but it's a safe play for the Falcons. Nothing really too spectacular here of a draft. That's why we gave him a C.
Now the Carolina Panthers, excuse me. But yeah, A- grade. Ikem Ekwonu, great talent out of NC State. He's going to be one of their best offensive linemen for the future. I really like Matt Corral. He has a high upside. He's not like a finished product ready for the NFL, but they have Sam Darnold to work above him. And I think Matt Corral might get a chance this year. Never know. But if so, I think he's going to be pretty good. And then Brandon Smith, inside linebacker from Penn State. I like that pick a lot as well. A lot of high potential. But overall, A- grade. Just a really solid draft. And they got what they needed other than a receiver. So you can't really complain from this draft as a fan.
And you got to give a B plus to the New Orleans Saints. Taking Olave, I think, is a great pick because who knows with Michael Thomas? Who knows if we'll ever see him on a football field ever again, just because injuries, the drama that ensued. But Trevor Penning is a great pick as well to shore up that offensive line, make sure Jameis doesn't get killed again. But then after that, I think it's, they just didn't have that many picks to do much. Did they want to trade up? Did they want to trade down? Who knows? But they played it safe, took some safe picks. But I think this B plus is more on just the first round picks rather than the last 3 picks here. So that's why we didn't move them into the A range.
And the Tampa Bay Bucks with an A- draft grade. They got their tight end, their running back, and their defensive end. Logan Hall for not having a first round pick. This is a very impressive draft for the Buccaneers. They got better. They got a lot of mature people, and Rashad White. I'm not sure exactly how I pronounce that, but he's going to be a dog. He's got high potential. Just add that to the plethora of running backs that the Bucks have, and they got Jake Camarda, a punter out of Georgia. So I think it's a good pick. I mean,
steal.
They needed a punter. It's just an absolute steal. He's going to have a superstar X factor.
And we got the Cardinals here, starting it in the NFC West. Trey McBride. I was hoping the Packers would get him. I think he's a very solid receiving tight end, good at blocking as well. And it's only going to help Kyler. He gets to learn under Zach Ertz. So it's a win-win for him. But after that, then it kind of goes downhill. The Cameron Thomas pick was okay. I'm looking at this list here and I'm like, I haven't really had an impact of any of these guys. I mean, I've seen Virginia Tech play, Penn State, Oklahoma, but I don't really know these guys essentially because they're not, good positional players. But Valdosta State, never heard of that school. And that just tells you that I've never heard of that player as well. But the B- grade, I think they did get good value. As you can see there, they did assess all their needs except the wide receiver. But they assessed that in the draft because they got Marquise Brown. So in my opinion, they checked all 5 boxes, did what they had to do. And this is a team that people forget that was 11-6 last year, started 7-0, 8-0, and then faltered late. So if they can, figure that out, maybe not lose more than half the games the second half of the season, you're looking at a 13-14 win football team here.
Next, we got the LA Rams. Now, Kyron Williams, the running back out of Notre Dame, I think he's going to be a pretty solid player. But other than that, there's not much really like upside wise, but they did assess their needs, which they really didn't have many needs, winning the Super Bowl and all. So, they're just getting a little bit better. I don't know where Kyron's going to play, Cam Akers and all their, other running backs, but they did get depth where they needed it, and they're already a superstar team, so can't really complain.
Then you got the Seahawks here after trading away Russ. Tough to replace that, but I think the best pick they got here was Kenneth Walker out of Michigan State. I think he is going to be a starter by, middle of the season. 1, because of injury concerns for the running back room, because it seems like it always hits the Seahawks since Marshawn's left. And 2, because he's going to earn his spot, I believe, as the backup to start the year. They're not going to hand it over to him over Chris Carson, because when he's healthy, Chris Carson is a better than average running back. He can carry the load. But I just like Kenneth Walker here to win the job out by the end of the year. And you got Kobe Bryant out of Cincinnati. Everyone knows him because of his name, but his talent is also really good as well. That's a great value pick there in the 4th round. But after that, it's kind of just, once again, just the team, filling in some depth, looking to steal some guys in the late rounds for the wide receiver, see if they can get their next diamond in the rough receiver for, who knows, maybe Drew Lock, or maybe a new quarterback next year.
Most likely someone else, hopefully. And next we got the 49ers. Drake Jackson. I think he's a pretty solid pick. They got a B minus overall, assessing 3 out of their 5 needs. Honestly, Tyrion Davis Price was a nice value pick in round 3, but I'm just excited to see what this offense is going to do this year. Along, with Trey Lance most likely taking the starting quarterback job over. So I'm just really excited to see what happens there with that very talented roster.
And starting in the AFC, moving over to the AFC, in the AFC East, we got the Buffalo Bills coming in with a B plus. Khair Elam, I think that's a great pick. It could have been a reach. Some people said reach, some people he fell, but I think it's a perfect landing spot on the opposite side of the field of Tre'Davious White. He's going to be a great corner number 2 in this league, and when you get to learn under him, that's pretty good. But I think the best pick in this draft for the Bills is the punter, Matt Ariza. I mean, he holds the Division I record of longest net punt average in the country. I mean, he had a punt of 81 yards, I believe, last year. Like, this dude is insane. He's a very good punter, has a huge leg. And, when Josh Allen doesn't score, which seems like 1 every 5 drives, you're going to be probably starting inside your 20 every time, just because of how good this punter is. So he's already won the job, essentially. But B plus for the Bills. The only thing that I didn't really see them assess was that offensive line. But, that's why they have free agency and they make trades, because that's how you do it.
Next, we have the Miami Dolphins, who really didn't have any picks because they traded them all for Tyreek Hill. But with the picks they did have, they really only got a slight amount of depth, and it's Channing Tindall. I mean, a guy from Georgia, with that top-ranked defense is going to be a good player, but other than that, they went wide receiver after having probably the best wide receiving core in the NFL now with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But other than that, really did not help anything for the Dolphins.
And you kind of say the same about the Patriots. I think they reached on a few guys. The Tyquan Thornton pick, maybe a little bit of a reach. He's a good guy, good prospect, but a reach. I don't know why they're drafting a quarterback in the 4th round, as you drafted Mac Jones and he's already your guy. Questionable pick there. But, nothing really to look at. And you're like, wow, look at the Patriots draft. That's why they have him coming in here at a D minus.
And here we go with the best draft grade of the year. With their first pick, they took Sauce Gardner, and I think that's going to be a great pick. A great guy, just to be that number 1 lockdown corner that they really need. Garrett Wilson, they also assessed the wide receiver in the first round, top 10 picks, along with Jermaine Johnson. I thought they hit home runs on all those first 3 picks. Breece Hall has a lot of potential. They've been drafting a lot of running backs lately. But really all the way down, they assessed their needs and they got a lot better in this draft.
And now moving to the AFC North, we got the Baltimore Ravens having lots of picks in this year's draft. And then I think they did pretty good here. I think B is a fair grade. Having a lot of picks, a lot of expectations, but I think the best pick is David Ojabo. What better team to fall to than the Ravens? John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, the Harbaugh brothers. They talk every day about prospects, and that's going to be a pick. I think, but at the end of the year, Ojabo is going to have a huge impact on that defense, and is going to be competing in some meaningful games. And that's why I just love it. It's a good spot for him, and that's the best pick here. Kyle Hamilton, I think they had to take him there because he just started to fall. And it fell right into the Ravens' lap of something they needed.
Next, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. I love that Dax Hill pick. Just home run. I think it just happened the same way where he just fell right into the Bengals' laps, and they didn't miss, and they shored up the safety even more with Cam Taylor. I would have liked them to go offensive line a little bit more, but that is what free agency and all that's for. So, a draft. Very solid draft for the Bengals.
And the Browns didn't have any 1st or 2nd round picks. So, it was a tough draft for them. They did pretty good for what they could do. I think the kicker pick in Cade York is a great pick. They've had kicking problems these last few years. No consistent kicker that stays there for a while. The David Bell pick could turn out to be a really good pick. He was great in college. Before he got hurt, he had superstar numbers. If they can, shake off the rust and really prove it here, with Deshaun Watson. I mean, Deshaun Watson can make a lot of people better, but he could be the most overrated quarterback in the league. We'll save that for another video. But it's a solid draft, I think, for the Browns, but compared to what everyone else has done this year, you got to put them in the middle of the pack at average.
And here we go with my Pittsburgh Steelers. I disagree with this C. I think they hit home runs with Kenny Pickett, George Pickens. They really needed a receiver. DeMarvin Leal even is going to be a dog coming out of Texas A&M. Just seeing that dude just eat up blocks and just torment the quarterback is going to be awesome. They went with another receiver, Calvin Austin from Memphis, and then Connor Hayward. Really like those first 6 picks. And as a Steelers fan, I'm happy about that.
And then we got Houston Texans, questionable picks. The organization just should move to London, new ownership and everything. Derek Stingley at 3, not smart at all, in my opinion. Should have went Thibodeau there. You don't really need Stingley there. And then they didn't take, Evan Neal or any guard or offensive tackle, which you could have took there in the first round. So they had to reach and take Kenyon Green because they really needed one. It was a reach for Mechie out of Alabama. He's coming off an injury. Just lots of reaches here on these picks. I think they got too trigger happy, and that's why we gave them a D+.
Next, we have the Indianapolis Colts, and they get a B just for really assessing their needs. They went with Alec Pierce, receiver out of Cincinnati. I think that's going to be a good pick, along with Jelani Woods from Virginia and Nick Cross to shore up that safety room. All in all, they did get better with their depth without having a first-round pick and really not having any picks until the 3rd round.
Then we got the Jaguars. They were doomed since the start. I thought they should have took Hutchinson. Walker became the more popular pick, and that's why he went number 1. They took Devin Lloyd to assess the linebacking position, opposed Josh Allen. It could be good, but we're going to have to see there. And then after that, I think it was more of what depth do we need rather than what do we really need, like right away. Signing Christian Kirk for the wide receiver position kind of helps, but it's Christian Kirk, let's be honest.
Next, we have the Tennessee Titans as the C+ draft grade. Treylon Burks, I think might have reached a little bit on him. Roger McCreary, just a mediocre draft. Got some needs, but they did get Malik Willis in the 3rd round. So if he turns into a Pro Bowler, then it's going to turn into an A draft. So you know how it is.
And then starting off the last division, we got the AFC West. The Broncos getting Russell Wilson. So they got, they already won this draft essentially. They won that sweepstakes. And how'd they bolster his roster? By getting him a defense so he doesn't have to go out there and score 35 every week. They got some young guys, positional depth, and I think that's what the Broncos were really assessing in this year's draft.
Next, the Kansas City Chiefs with an A draft. I really like these first 4 picks with George Karlaftis, Sky Moore out of Western Michigan. That's going to be really exciting. They're going to get a lot more explosive. Even without Tyreek Hill, they're going to be a lot better. And they really drafted to what they needed, and that's what I expect out of this organization.
And don't forget the receiver out of Clemson that had his back. He signed with the Chiefs as an unrestricted free agent, so that could be a name to watch out for as well. But moving into the Chargers, Zion Johnson, and then who else? And I think is the big question for this draft. Isaiah Spiller, he's going to be a solid backup if they even have a spot for him. After last year, there was some solid depth behind Eckler, but I'm not really. If I was a Chargers fan, I'm not pleased about this year's draft. Let's just say the least.
And we have the Las Vegas Raiders next, coming with a B grade. Zamir White, running back out of Georgia. He should be splitting carries with Josh Jacobs, perhaps. Josh Jacobs is obviously one of the best running backs in the league, but you got to give Zamir White a chance. And then Dylan Parham. I mean, they really didn't do bad for their first pick was a 3rd rounder. So,
but I think that's going to be it for our video today. If you liked it, come back. We're going to be doing some individual draft grades as well. Mm-hmm. Once again, shout out the website. Check the link in the description. That's where we got most of our information from. Ethan, take us out of here.
Yeah, so if you guys really enjoyed the video, we'd be really happy if you guys would leave a like and comment and just critique us a little bit in the comments. But really looking forward to the NFL season. And obviously, the MLB Power Rankings coming every week. So that's a lot of fun. But until next time, the Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.